Hi, everybody. Welcome to Azure Data Factory. So I'm going to tell you what is Azure Data Factory with all the scenarios, how Azure Data Factory will works in the real-time scenarios, and what are the things we may require for to develop the data factories. I mean the storage systems. How can we create? How can we store the data? How can we extract the data using Azure Data Factory? Uh, let's look into this. So first of all, before going to this sessions, let me brief you a bit what is a data factory. Okay. So what is a data factory? Everybody knows in this world of big data. So there's a raw data, and unrecognized data is often stored in relational and non-relational, right? And other storage systems. However, on its own, raw doesn't have the proper context of meaning to provide the meaningful insights to the analysis. So what does it mean? You have the raw data, you have bulk kind of data. So like let's say, like let's take, suppose you have 1,000 records or millions of records of data. So what you have to do, you have to fetch something kind of records, and this is a raw data. So you have to put few records, but using this much of amount of data, we can't bring the raw data. So to achieve that mechanism, we have a lot of options. That is, we do have is Azure Data Factory. Like let's say this is a big data. So big data, what it requires is that requires a service that can orchestrate and operationalize process to refine the anonymous storage of the raw data into actionable business insights. Okay, so what does Azure Data Factories do? Like let's so Azure Data Factory contains the mainly three parts. Is Azure Data Factory is managed cloud service. What is Azure Data Factory? It is an managed cloud service, and to build, this is managed cloud service to build hybrid extract, transform, and load the data, which is an ETL cloud service. You may be aware of what is an E means extraction of data, and T is transform the data, and L is load the data, loading the data, let's say. So nowadays we have plenty of ETL tools, but which may requires a lot of resources, which may requires the number of processes, number of CPUs, which makes it's a cost effect. So when we go to the ETL as a cloud service, it's a managed cloud service. Okay, so it mainly used for the data integration projects. So let me go to this. Let's say I'll take the scenario. Okay, so for example, what you have to do. Okay, let's take, as coming to the example, imagine a gaming company that collects petabytes of data. Gaming company called Exports. Let's take Exports. Exports has a gaming company. Okay, gaming company. What it do? It collects petabytes of data. Petabytes. Okay, so that means huge data of a game logs. So Exports is a gaming company which having collection of petabytes of data, which is all in the stored of logs that are produced by games in the cloud. You got the example. Now, what this export wanted to analyze these logs to gain insights to the customer preferences. Got my point or not? So demographics and what is a user's behavior. And also the export expecting, they wanted to identify upsell and cross-sell opportunities, and they want to develop a compelling new features and drive business growth and provide better much experience to the customers, much more. And what we have to do to analyze these logs, okay, you got my point or not? To analyze these logs, the company needs to the reference data such as customer information, right? Or what it requires, such as customer information, The next one is, let's say, game information, and also they would have marketing strategy, right? So marketing campaign information. So that is an on-premises data stores. It's not a cloud actually. So what is an on-premises data store? If you go to my previous videos, it will be available. I have explained in detail. So now the company wants to utilize this data from on-premises data store, combining with an additional log data that is an cloud data store. Now the requirement, what is the requirement? The company wants to utilize this data, this much of petabytes of data, let's say 1,000 petabytes, 10,000, 1 lakh petabytes of data. So the company wants to utilize this data from on-premises data stores and combining with an additional log data that is as in cloud data store. So they have the logs in the cloud and as well as on-premise data. So what they want to combine these two logs from two different systems. One is on-premises data and one is cloud data. Now, just a minute. You got the requirement. Now what we are doing, let's simply call it as ADF, Azure Data Factory. Okay. Now got the requirement. Now, so to extract the insights, it hopes to process the giant data by using a Spark cluster, right? Which is in Spark cluster, which is in cloud, which is in Azure HD Insights. See, insights, nothing to worry. I'll tell you what is an Azure HD Insights in the previous and the next session, so nothing to worry. So people who do have knowledge on big data, they might aware of Azure HD Insights. It's nothing but HDFS, and publish the transformer data into the cloud data warehouses such as Azure Synapse Analytics to easy build a report on top of it. So what they want, what they are looking actually. So first thing is, the company the experts want to utilize the data from on-premises data store, and they have the data in on-premises data storage and the cloud. So they wanted to combine with the additional log data that is a cloud data store. So to extract insights, it hopes to process the joint data by using a Spark cluster, the cloud, and publish the transformer data into the cloud data warehouse such as Azure Synapse. Got it? So they have the requirement. So they wanted to extract the data, which is in Azure HD Insights, and also as well as they wanted to transform the data and they wanted to publish into the cloud data warehouse. Okay. Now, so now the requirement here is they wanted to automate this workflow and monitor and manage a daily schedule. Now, let's come to the, so, and also the thing what we have to do, they also wanted to execute it when files land into the blob storage container. So they want, when the file is come to the blob storage container, so they want to identify and they want to load this data, this logs data. Okay. Now let's coming to our picture. Now Azure Data Factory, we are talking about Azure Data Factory. Now Azure Data Factory is a platform. Data Factory is a platform to solve the data scenarios, such kind of data scenarios. It is a cloud-based ETL and data integration service. It is a cloud-based ETL and data integration service. Now let's look at that. Allows you to create data driven into the workflows. Got it right? And the data movement and transformations will be happening at the scale. So using the Azure Data Factory, what we can achieve is we can create and schedule the data driven workflows we can call it as pipelines. and that can ingest the data from disparate data stores. Now we can build complex ETL process that transform data visually with the data flows by using compute the Azure HD Insights, Hadoop, and Azure Databricks and Azure SQL databases. Okay, you got it right. This is the requirements. So in simple terms, let me let me tell you, Azure Data Insights, we have a data, and Cloud Data Warehouse, we have a data, and I have a called blob, which is a storage mechanism. Now ADF is a platform where you can solve the data scenarios, which is in a cloud-based ETL. So they want to combine the data where the data resides in two different ways, two different systems, which is in on-premises data and clouds. Now let's see. Now you understood. Hope you understood this one. Now let's go to. Okay. Now let me tell you. Now the second thing is you understood what is an ADF. Now we have to learn about how does it. You understood first point is what is ADF, Azure Data Factory. Now the second point is how does it work? Okay. Now Data Factory contains a series of interconnected systems that provides a complete end-to-end platform for the data engineers. Okay, let's look at how does it works. Okay, now let's come into, so it contains a series of interconnected systems. That means, so for the it's a code-free ETL as a service. Okay, now how it will be, let's see. So there are a few types of services called, one is ingest, and another one is control flow, and another one is data flow, and another one is schedule, and another one is monitor. So these are the service which you can utilize for our data processing. So what is ingest? So ingest is multi-cloud and on-premise hybrid copy data that you, okay. Now what is it? It has 100 plus native connectors, and it's a serverless auto scale, and you use wizard for the quick copy of jobs. Got it. Now coming to the control flow. So what is in a control flow? So it designs code-free data pipelines. Got it. So code-free data pipelines. Now generate pipelines via SDK. Generate pipelines via SDK. And utilize the workflows. Constructors. Okay. And loops. Okay. And loops and conditional executions, variables. You will be clearly know what are all these going forward. This is called control, how it controls the data, how it controls the pipeline. Now what is a data flow? So data flow is nothing but it's a code-free data transformations that are executed in Spark and scale out with Azure integration runtimes, generate data flows via SDK. So you understood what is data flow? Data flow is code-free data transformations that executes in Spark. Okay, and these three are the most important things. What is it? Ingest, I mean it is a service actually. These 5 services will be used as a part of Azure Data Factory services. How we can call the pipelines. So this is a hybrid copy of data ingestments. Hope you guys understood. So ingesting, then it is control flow, then is a data flow, but it will try to ingest, then it will be controlling that particular flow, then in data flow, and a schedule. And schedule is nothing but building and maintenance operational schedules for your data pipelines. And the monitor is view active executions and pipeline histories and detailed activity data flow executions. So this is a way we can call it as Azure Data Factory works. Simply ingest the control data, control flow and data flow, and schedule and monitor. Okay. Now what we have to do is got it. Now we will see the is now we have a couple of concepts in the data factory. We can call it as top level concepts. Okay. Now Azure's, okay, so what are the key components? What are the data factories composed of? What kind of components we have? Top level concepts. Top level concepts. Here we have key components. Below are the key components. One is pipelines, and the second one is activities. I'll explain one by one. Okay, so nothing to worry. So data sets, and the fourth one is linked services, and the fifth one is data flows, and the sixth one is integration runtimes. Okay, so these are the top level concepts which are based to run a pipeline or to create a pipeline or to modify a pipeline. So these are the primary things which you would know. So these components work together. Keep in mind always these components work together to provide that platform which you can compose data driven workflows with the steps to move and transform the data. Now let's talk about what is a pipeline. What is a pipeline? Now let's go to the pipeline. What is a concept called pipeline in detail also? So a data factory, it might contains one or more pipelines. A pipeline, just listen carefully. A pipeline is a logical grouping of activities that perform, say, unit of work. Understood? So what is a pipeline is? Pipeline is a logical grouping of activities that performs unit of work. So that activities in pipeline perform a task. Okay, that activities in a pipeline performs a task. For example, let's say a pipeline can contain group of activities that ingest the data from Azure Blob and that runs a Hive query on an HD Insights cluster to partition the data. Okay, so this benefit is to the allow the pipeline allows you to manage the activities set up instead of managing each one individually. Understood? So the activities in pipeline can be changed together to operate sequentially, or they can operate independently in the parallel. Now, so mapping data flows. To create and managing groups of data transformation logic is that you can create and transform in any size of the data. So you can build and reusable library of data transformations and routines also you can call and execute those processes in a scaled out of manner using the ADF pipelines. So data factory will execute your logic on a Spark cluster. Okay, data factory, what it will do, it will execute your logic on Spark cluster that spins up and spins down when you need it. So you won't have ever have to manage or maintain the clusters. It's not required to manage or maintain the clusters. So that is the best thing. So understood what is the pipeline. Now what is activity? So these are most important concept. Please listen carefully. So activity represents a processing step in the pipeline. Processing step. The pipeline. So what does it mean? Let's take an example. So you might use it to copy activity to copy data from one data store to another data store. Similarly, you might use Hive activity, which runs Hive query on Azure Data Insights cluster to transform or analyze your data. So data factory supports three types of activities, that is data movement of activities, data transformation activities, and control activities. So nothing to worry about these things. I'll show you when it comes to the practices. So nothing to worry about these things. And second is the data transformations and control activities. Okay. So this is a second activity. Now let's go to what is in a data set. Now this in a data set. So data set is it represents data structures within the data stores, which is simply point to or reference the data you want to use it your activities for input or output. Okay, so let's say I have a data 1000 records of data. This is the example I'm giving, and one more data set having 2000. So this data is 1000 and this data is 1000. What I want to do, I want to use these two data set in somewhere which can be fitted in my, which can be transformed, which can be fitted, which can be as per the requirement, which can be for the resources. So that you can use. So data set is nothing but the data which is already stored. Okay, so that you can do fly on this data. Got it right? So data set understood. Hope you understood. Now, thanks for watching my video. If you like this video, please do like it. Please subscribe to my channel for more interesting videos.